Hello, everyone. Welcome into the LFC Transfer Room. I'm Jack, joined today by Chedu, Anthony, and Richie for a Transfer Deadline Day special here on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook.
Not even 20 seconds live and first comment.
So I think that's the question before I ask even how you guys are doing. Are we finished? Chedu, how are you doing? And are we finished as a football club?
No to how I'm doing, and no to the other question.
Anthony, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. But yeah, we're not finished as a club just quite yet.
Just quite yet.
Richie, how you doing? Is Richie frozen?
Hey, I'm all right. No chance. We're still. Apologies.
Richie, you're cutting
Am I there now? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're cutting in and out a little bit, so if I'm a bit off with you, my bad on that. Can you hear us all right, Richie?
That's okay.
Okay. I think he's just a bit behind.
Yeah, I can.
I
Yeah.
think I said yeah. Okay, there we go.
Absolutely not finished with the football club. We're yeah. Not finished as a football club by a long shot. I still make us contenders for the league, and it's not nice going for a transfer window like we have done, but absolutely not. I mean, we're still in a really strong position, and if our squad stays fit, which is a big if, we're still going to be up there.
I think that's the next question I have then. So what's the goal now for the season, given the window that we've had? I said title before any transfers that come in.
I think it's still the same.
I think it's still the title, yeah. Is anybody more pessimistic now that we haven't made a move at the end of the window?
Listen, I'll be fully honest here. Of course, we've all really wanted signings. Fabrizio sold us dreams. That tweet lives forever, rent free in my head. And I think even before we signed Konate, I think everyone knew that next season was going to be still a title challenge. Like realistically, and I don't want to be that guy that says new signings, but comparing last season to this season, now that everyone's fit, it's kind of like new signings in a way. We're playing with our full strength squad once again. We saw how good we played. I know it's Burnley and Norwich, but we saw how good we played on those. I think we played really good against Chelsea, just unlucky trying to find the back of the net. And I think we're still. A lot of people are not giving us the credit that we deserve. They don't think we're actually going to do that well this season. I don't see how people think that. But I still think we're going to challenge for the title. I think not signing anyone would change a thing. But what I find really, really funny, I saw someone tweet out last night. That tweeted out, remember when people used to say that if we don't get Champions League, it's going to affect our transfers this summer? Oh, how wrong they were. Yeah. But yeah, we're still gonna win the league, in my opinion.
Richie, we were on a podcast. I think Richie has to walk off actually, so I'll ask him a question in a moment when he's back. Anthony, I'll toss it to you then. Oxlade-Chamberlain, we've got his dynamic.
Oh God. What did you ask? Sorry.
I didn't ask anything. I'm kind of just lost because
don't even respond to that, please. Just don't even respond to that.
Yeah, no, I think so. I'm seeing there's the common hatred towards FSG. Anthony, where have you been in terms of FSG out in, and where are you now that we are about an hour and a half from the window closing and nothing's happening?
Well, I've been FSG out for quite some time now, but like you said, I still think we're contenders for the Premier League, but we've gone from like maybe one of the favourites to not one of the favourites because everyone else has improved around us, and we're the only club to not do that. Obviously, we've bought Konate, but we saw against Chelsea we were missing that like one extra attacking option, maybe in midfield as well. So I think we're short of two signings, a midfielder and a forward, but yeah, FSG out, mate.
Richie, I think that you're back connected with us. If you are, let me know. We were on a podcast just yesterday, and we were quite optimistic something still could happen. So your optimism for the season now that nothing has happened with very little left in the window.
Yeah, I think for me, it's still the same. I'm still extremely optimistic because everybody else in the window for me was playing catch up anyway, perhaps apart from Manchester City. And they didn't actually sign in the position where they needed to sign anyway, which is centre forward. You know, they completely failed in the Harry Kane bid. And they brought in Jack Grealish, which I think is still an odd transfer, paying, you know, 100 million for a player they didn't necessarily need when you have the likes of Phil Foden, Sterling, Bernardo Silva in there. So, yeah, it's always tough to see other people strengthen around you, and it has that aura of Emperor's New Clothes. But for me, they were always playing catch up anyway. I still don't think Man City have fully. I don't think they're going to run away with this league because of their lack of a centre forward. And Ferran Torres, yes, he's scored a couple of goals, but let's see how he does against Van Dijk, because I'm pretty sure he's not going to have that much freedom against Van Dijk. As far as spending goes, you know, if we'll have to wait when it all comes out in the wash, which I'm sure it will do in the next month or two. But we needed, going into the window, we needed a centre-back, and we have got one of the best centre-backs, young centre-backs in Europe, in Ibrahima Konate. So for me, we have strengthened in that area. Yes, we could really do with a forward. If, you know, like I said yesterday, I would love for one more forward to come in, because if Firmino injury, I mean, Paul Joyce tweeted out today that it's not as bad as once feared, you know, but how bad was it once feared? You know, it's a bit of a shot in the dark, really. So if Firmino gets injured, I can't see. Yes, Jota can play there, or Mane or Salah, but I can't see the likes of Minamino Ox stepping up to the ability of that front three. I think there's a big drop off in quality after that Fab Four almost. But I don't think it's panic stations yet. I do think that get a good run together and we will still be up there. We'll still be challenging. So, yeah, it's one of those that, yes, it's frustrating to see everyone else spend. But listen, lads, we're the 1 million net spend. We're up 1 million by my calculations on the net spend. Seeing Wilson, Awani, Shaqiri, Gruitch go. And then obviously Davis will burn Williams and perhaps Ojo going as well on loan. So up the net spend, boys.
Exactly.
I mean, to touch on that point real quick, first of all, on the Konate side of things, how often do you guys actually see him playing? Because right now it seems like it's just gonna be Van Dijk and Matip as the two starters. Because to be fair, they are the two best center backs in the club. I'll even go as far as to say that they're the two best center backs in the league when they're both fit. And you know, I think because Konate is so new, I think it's kind of like a Robertson sort of thing, where he'll find if one of Van Dijk or Matip can't play, he'll find Gomez playing more because he's been there for a while and he has Klopp's trust. And so I don't think we're gonna see him too much. And on the other side of things, we have Firmino out. Even though we don't really know how long he's gonna be out, it's still necessary to bring someone in, because right now our only three like really good attackers that we have are the three that are gonna start every day, week in, week out. But who's gonna go in and take one of their spots when we have to make a late change to impact the game, or if someone else goes out? Because as Richie said, it's not Minamino, it's not Ox, and Harvey's playing in midfield. So who's gonna step up? And I genuinely don't see why we sold Shaqiri if no one's gonna come in. It just doesn't make sense to me. And Origi also wants to leave. It came out that he wants to leave today. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
I think just to touch on Shaqiri, going. I think he had a year left on his contract, so obviously that might have been a reason why. But I completely agree. Yes, and I said on the podcast as well, getting 9.5 million for him when his contract's up next year, that was a really good deal, I think, for us, and a good deal for him going to Lyon, because I think he'll rip it up in Ligue 1. But at the same time, yeah, I completely agree. Like, why would we let Shaqiri go? It's 9 million if we're not going to reinvest it. And, you know, we only have to look around at the signings that other people have made. And I don't think there's going to be a transfer window like this in Europe, you know, where there are so many players going for relatively cheap. You know, you're looking at Saul today, who I'm sure we'll talk about. He's gone to Chelsea for 4 million euros, and that's an option to buy. So Chelsea can just do away with him, you know, at the end of the season and buy Declan Rice. And this is the only reason why it was stalled in the first place, because they didn't want the obligation to buy, because they want Rice next summer. So Liverpool not being in for these sort of players. Yes, Genie left. Yes, Harvey can come in, but Harvey can also play out, you know, out wide. So, you know, it's one of those that I feel everyone's frustrations in the chat, and I feel everyone's frustration in the comments as well. But, you know, it is what it is. And as frustrating as it is for everybody, we still have a class, I would say, 16 players. And if those 16 players stay fit, we will push for that league. But if a few get injured, then yeah, we are going to be in trouble.
I 100% agree with you there, Richie, is that the top end of this team is as good as anybody's in the world, but the issue is, can that top end stay fit? We saw what happened in the last 2 seasons. When it stayed fit, we won a title. When it didn't stay fit, it fell apart. I think Konate was the perfect transfer, real quick, Chedu, is because he doesn't have to walk in immediately to start. So he can bet into the squad, bet into the tactics, bet into the team, and he will eventually be probably the long-term Virgil replacement in the next 4 or 5 years. He's young enough to be that guy where when he's 25 and Virgil's 34, something like that, that's when he's beginning to really kind of make his ascent into the first team. So we should have signed another Konate-like player. I think it's just very frustrating that we did not sign forward in his bracket. But Chedu, I interrupted you a second ago.
God, where was I going with this? No, yeah, I fully.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Now I'm lost. This window has just made us all a loss for words because it's like it seems so obvious to us that we should be signing a player or two, but we're not. And so I think the question I want to pose to you.
I know what I want to say. We are, and I don't know if you guys probably agree with me, and we are one Salah injury away from going on the longest goal drought we've had in a while.
I want to break something up really quick. I can't find the comment. Okay, so are these decisions being made due to the finances, or are they being made because Liverpool don't want to change the squad around? Rich, I'll go to you first on that.
Listen, the Redbird investment, as James Pearce wrote in The Athletic, when Redbird came in and invested into all of FSG, remember, it wasn't just Liverpool Football Club. They also bought part of Rouge Racing, part of the Red Sox. So they invested thoroughly into FSG. We were told that money would not go on transfers because it would consolidate all of the losses in a COVID season. So Liverpool wouldn't have to take out bank loans, etc., to make sure that we are, keeping our heads above water, because the Redbird investment did that, which is absolutely fine. So the club can't now turn around and say, well, we were affected by COVID, because you look around us and teams are spending money. I think it's only perhaps us and Chelsea who have had a phenomenal window, by the way, Chelsea, I obviously have no love lost for them. They have had a great window. They brought in Romelu Lukaku and Saul and still managed to be in profit. That's how you do business. Anyway, that aside, we were told, from the club that the Redbird investment would consolidate all of those, payments or all of those losses and all of the matchday revenue that's being lost and everything else that went with it. They can't now turn around and say that we were affected because of COVID and that's why we didn't invest. So for me, I don't think they can try to pull that one because of what they've already said in the past. So for me, I don't think they can. And I just have, I think what they will point to is the new contracts. And it was what I said last night on the pod with you, Jack. And I still can't really get my head around why they would announce Jordan Henderson, the most successful captain in Premier League history for Liverpool Football Club, probably one of the most important and influential players. Why would they announce his contract being renewed today of all days when they know they did not read the room right, when they knew the hate that's going to get into those comments? You only have to go and look at the cesspit of Twitter and look at that official signing. It should be the happiest day of Hendo's life. He's going to finish his club. He's going to finish his career at a club where he's won everything apart from the FA Cup. But, I'm sure that will come as well. It's beyond me. It really is. And, it's such a shame for Henderson and it's such a shame to, Phillips and Williams as well, who obviously extended their contract too. So for me, it can't be about the money. It can't be about COVID.
Yeah. So I completely just spaced what I was going to ask. That's so frustrating. Okay. Anthony, I'm going to talk to you kind of. We always hear about next summer. 2022 is a big year, but we also heard heading into this window that we're going to sign a player or two. Do you have any level of optimism ahead of next window that something big is going to happen? Or are you kind of just burnt out of these rumors and nothing actually materializing?
It kind of makes more sense, as ridiculous as it is, but for us to spend a lot more next summer, because we did have that one transfer window where we just spent so much money. Fabinho, Alisson, Van Dijk. Obviously, he was in January, but Keita as well
too.
So maybe next summer we'll spend big, but I think it's probably a bit too late. We needed it this summer. we were told, oh, we want to focus on contract extensions, but you can't say we're going to focus on contract extensions during a transfer window. It makes no sense. Like, if we don't get them to sign a contract within the by the end of August, they're not going to sign a new contract for us. Like, it just doesn't make sense. But
Exactly, Anthony. I wanted to actually. That's what I wanted to ask about was contracts. So obviously, Nat Phillips and Henderson and Reece Williams all getting new contracts today. Is that a PR move in your eyes to use these as small time transfer moves, try and pacify the raging fans? Anthony, how do you view that?
it makes sense. Like, it all adds up. But I don't know why Nat Phillips has signed a new contract, if I'm being honest. James Pearce even said if the right bid comes in, Liverpool will sell him. So
Actually, I think he actually responded to that by saying that the right bid did not come in, so they decided to give him a new contract.
Yeah, let's hit on that a bit. Actually, was that a good move in your eyes for signing Nat Phillips for a 4-year contract, Anthony?
Oh, what did you say, sorry?
Nat, new contract. Your thoughts on that? You said you didn't get it totally, but
Oh, I didn't get it because I saw that James Pearce tweet saying we still want to get rid of him essentially. So I don't know why we offered him a new contract. But if we could get 15 to 20 million from him, then that's all good. But other than that, he's not going to play for us ever again.
I want to pull up one of these comments, and it's this one. This window was the bargain window, Emo, and I agree. We see players like Saul that's gone to Chelsea for 5 million loan fee. We see players like Camavinga who went to Real Madrid for 30. Awar, who was available for like 25. You see all of these players that for some reason are way cheaper this window than their actual market value or what they would have been on January or last year or this upcoming January. And it's really stressful that we weren't able to capitalize on such a window where we could have signed anyone at a bargain price. Most likely the only player that I don't see was a bargain price was Jack Grealish and Mbappe as well. I mean, Real Madrid put a 220 million bid for him and they still said no. But then we look at everyone else and how cheap they've been moving, and you think, why weren't we able to do this? Why didn't we do any of this? Like, even if finances were low, surely we could have pulled something out of the bag looking at the transfers that I had. Because are you gonna tell me that we couldn't put up 5 million for Saul?
yeah,
It just doesn't make sense.
So I'm going to raise the counter argument for that, which is that Liverpool have been raising their wage budget significantly, salary significantly. And by doing so, you are putting future payments, down the road, and that's a big financial investment. So I think they have protected that and kept this group together. But I mean, I 100% agree with you, Chedu. I'm reading this from Fabrizio Romano, Nuno Mendes. I don't know if it's Mendes. I forgot how you pronounce it. Tremendous left back going to PSG for 40 million euros. He's double that in a normal non-COVID window.
Yep.
So I think that there have been bargains abound, and exactly, so many different players out there.
I mean, look at this. Yeah, it was a 7 million loan fee with a 40 million buy option.
Exactly. I mean, we wouldn't do that because we have Robertson, so that doesn't make sense for us.
Yeah, exactly.
So those deals have existed. So what I want to ask is, what would you have done had you been Liverpool? Because this myth that it's not financially attainable is just dumb, in my opinion. Because what I would have done is Saul loan option to buy, which I think is what Chelsea are doing now.
Yeah.
And
that's what happened.
Doku purchased, and that's about 45 million up front. That's reasonable, and that helps.
Yeah, 100%.
So Chedu, what should we have done this window?
No, I fully agree. I think that's what we should have done. I think Saul was one of, if not the best midfield option for us. That's financially that makes financial sense for us, looking at how Chelsea have done it. And I think Doku, again, kind of like the Konate sort of thing, comes in and really just in the back side of the team until he keeps getting better and better. And I think, again, we could have capitalized. It would have been a 10 out of 10 window in my eyes. Konate, Doku, and Saul would have been great.
So I don't think there's an issue of afford. I think it's just financially viable or not. It's like this transfer wouldn't age well or wouldn't look good.
With Saul as well, just really quick to jump in with Saul, obviously, like I can completely understand that what you're saying, but we're only taking on that loan So we're only taking on that contract as a loan. We're not paying extra wages. We're only paying what he's on at Atletico. Had this have been an obligation to buy, like, you know, Chelsea didn't want, because obviously they want Declan Rice in the summer, then we would have had to negotiate his actual wage. But we would have just taken on Atletico's wage, and say if he's on, you know, anywhere between 180, 200k a week, that's what we would have paid. It's not, you know, and that's over the course of the season. So it's not as if we even have to invest in Saul. It's more, you know, it's not an obligation to buy. Therefore, we don't have to purchase him after. It's an option to buy that Chelsea have really, I think, cleverly negotiated.
Yeah, Chelsea, I think, are as good as anybody in the market at selling players and buying players. They are really good at it. I mean, they've made money, and they've bought Lukaku. You know, they've bought Lukaku and Saul, and their window's 10 out of 10. They've done a tremendous job this window. So I think I can't tell, me personally, my feelings just yet. Are we today versus 2 weeks ago feeling about the window? Is there a sense of like, wow, this has been a terrible window, or is it kind of I expected this?
I think it would have been a little bit of a if we weren't promised by several journalists, including Fabrizio Romano, that more players would come in. And, you know, of course, like, we can all say all we want about Fabrizio being a tap-in merchant or whatever, but everyone knows that when he says something, it is almost always correct. And him saying over and over again that Liverpool were going to make more signings, it gave everyone the hope that it would happen. And here we are, just a few hours before the transfer market closes, and nothing is happening. And it just comes, like, at this point, I'm fully questioning Fabrizio now. Whenever something about Liverpool comes up, because clearly he was wrong about this, and it's not the first time we've seen a reliable journalist be wrong about what Liverpool are going to do in the summer. We've seen James Pearce last season, and at this point, it's just what they said. Oh, they're saving up so that next summer. I don't want to hear that I don't want to hear that anymore, because at this point I really don't trust I trust everyone as much as I trust Indy Kayla right now, and I think that's a horrible thing to say, but it's true. And it's just,
I have a question.
It's just unpredictable.
I have a question for all of you guys. How much should the club keep us in the loop as fans, or how much should they operate in the dark like they currently? I mean, we saw Nat and Reece Williams contracts out of complete left field. It was announced 2 minutes before it was done. You know, how much should we be aware of things? Or how much do you appreciate the fact that they can move in silence? Anthony, I'll throw that to you first. How much should we know as fans versus how much we kind of just, like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
It's a tough one, though, because whenever we do make a signing, it's nice to have that, like, element of surprise. Like with Jota last year, obviously we were all happy it happened, but it is bad because we still need to know why the hell we aren't spending any money. But can I just quickly add one point as well onto Saul Niguez making it a 10 out of 10 window? What else does he bring to Liverpool that midfield options don't already have? Except for availability, right? In his quality, what else does he actually add to our midfield?
I think he just is an upgrade in terms of comparison to Milner.
Yeah,
I would not have Saul compared to Milner. You know, it's not as big a leap as some are making it out. I agree with you, Anthony, but it is less reliant on players who they're not substandard. But that's how I feel, at least, about it.
So like a rotation player, basically midfield.
yeah.
Okay.
Would Saul have been perfect for that? I don't think so. You know, I think he would have been preferring to be a starter, but yeah, I agree. I agree with Petrie.
But I mean, at the same time,
he's an OG.
At the same time, Saul does not start for Chelsea. So he must have gone there knowing that he's not going to start every game, because you have Kante, who's better. Jorginho, who right now is in the form of his life. Mount. So realistically, he's not a player that's going to start week in, week out. And to touch on the entire transfers moving in silence, I do agree. I think it's way better that way. I mean, with the Jota signing, we were all really happy about Thiago being confirmed. Just for 2 seconds later, be like, oh, Jota joined Liverpool. He's going to be announced tomorrow. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And that sort of surprise is great. Now, the problem comes in when we get blatantly lied to, people, reliable journalists telling us that there's going to be more signings just for nothing to happen at all. That's where the problem comes in.
Rich, I'll toss it to you. How much should we know as fans? I mean, we're I don't want to say a level above fans, but we also report on the team. We talk about the team a lot, so we would love to have more information to to talk about. But as a fan, how much should we be knowing?
I mean, I prefer the working in silence. The Jota and Fabinho deal were phenomenal when they were pulled out of the bag, and it was literally like a rabbit out of the hat. So, I don't really think, the club I wish as fans, as silly as it seems, because if they say, oh, actually, yeah, we really want Dusan Vlahovic, and they work on it all summer and it doesn't come to anything, then we're going to be even more annoyed than what we are now, because we're like, why didn't we get him? We should have paid the extra 10 million, or something like that. So for me, it doesn't really make sense, thinking business like, it doesn't make sense for FSG to even name their targets to the fans, because then that's going to then add to the hype. It's then going to add perhaps to the price value, because then let's say Fiorentina know that Liverpool want Dusan Vlahovic and the fans are all excited and Fiorentina can hold out for more money. So, it doesn't work like that. I think that today was probably the only good thing about today is that the LFC journalists and ITKs have took one hell of a beating over this window, because everyone was predicting that we would sign a midfielder or sign an attacker, and it never happened. So, for me, nobody knows anything about Liverpool Football Club. That is the way that it should be. It's a tricky one for us all. And yes, FSG do see us as a purchasing commodity, as they should. They run Liverpool Football Club as a business. Okay. And now this is not me saying that I am pro FSG. I'm also not anti FSG. I'm very much, appreciative of what they've done. But I think if we need to go to the next level, we need to start perhaps investing more money into the squad rather than the facilities. For me, I think if you look at the players who we were actually linked to, I've written a list. I've only gone for the actual links because obviously, we all write and talk about these links, and there are some that are just nonsense, So towards the start of the window, we did have Dusan Vlahovic, who was linked into the next, and I was very excited about him because he had a breakout season last season. He's going to cost more next season because he's going to sign a brand new contract for Fiorentina. Atletico Madrid had a 60 million euro bid rejected, plus 10 million add-ons, plus 20%. So they've got 70 million plus 20% of future sales there rejected by Viola. There's no way Liverpool are going to pay that for someone who's going to sit on the bench behind the Fab Four. We also had Saul. We obviously know which way that went. We had Renato Sanchez, who's got injured. Wolves, we were talking on the podcast actually when it broke yesterday. Wolves were in for him, but it turns out that his injury is actually 2 to 3 months. So Wolves have pulled out. Yeah. Again, we were supposed to be in for him, but that's put the kibosh on that. Adama Traore, semi-partially linked, I would say. We've always been linked with him. Wolves wanted £50 million from Tottenham, and we last season paid 40 for Jota. That you are not telling me that Traore is worth £10 million more than Diego Jota. So again, it's one of those that it's not going to happen. Lautaro Martinez, the last one that I've got on this list, because I only really went for the attackers and a couple of midfielders. He's going to be the highest paid Inter player next season. I just read an interview where his agent obviously is now saying that he always wanted to stay at Inter all along, because why would he not? But Lautaro Martinez was touted at around 100 million euros as well. So they're the players that we need, and they are the players that we need. I can completely understand everyone's frustrations, because if we sign one of those players, we are so much more healthier up top. But the way that FSG have operated is, unless we sell Salah, Mane, Firmino, Jota, we're not going to bring anyone in like that. The sole reason why we bought Ali and Van Dijk was because we had the Coutinho money to play with. And we are very much a sell-to-buy club. You only have to look at the profit margins and the transfer margins to see that actually over the past 6 or 7 years, we haven't really spent that much in net spend. Sky Sports pulled up, and again, I hate to talk about other clubs, but Sky Sports pulled up Solskjaer and Klopp's first 99 Premier League games, and they were almost identical. They're basically trying to big up Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which is quite comical in its own right. But their net spend, Klopp was 30 million in profit, and Solskjaer was 300 out of profit.
Exactly.
So they don't. So FSG don't spend, and I can understand the fans' frustrations. I really can, and I do dread to think of what days will happen when Jurgen Klopp leaves, because I think he makes players a lot better than what they are. And if we don't have somebody like that who can turn, an out of form or semi out of form, Mohamed Salah into a goal scoring world class forward, who is going to do that? We're going to have to go out and buy them. We haven't got the money to buy them. So yeah, there's not dark days ahead. I don't want to be downbeat or pessimistic, but we are going to have to spend.
there's a really great comment from a guy who didn't drop it in the chat, so I can't bring it up. I'm going to read it. It was actually a reply to our tweet with this live stream. The best team we've ever had, the best coach we've ever had. Recent history.
Yeah.
Let's say 21st century.
Premier League era, yeah.
Premier League era. We're missing the opportunity to build dynasty. That is exactly how I feel. We are still top class, but our ability to maintain it is significantly held back by not spending.
Listen, we obviously don't have the funds that like a Manchester City has or a Chelsea has, but you give Klopp sufficient backing with what we can have, and we can go we can win the league a few years in a row. We can win the Champions League a few years in a row because that's the talent that this team has. That's the talent that the manager has. If only we had the backing to play to buy those players that we need, because it's not even for the starting 11. It's mostly for as substitutes. Because let's be honest, comparing our bench to other teams, we don't have that that backup that we need to be able to challenge for all of these things all the time. Because God forbid Jota and Salah get injured at the same time this season, because that just ruins us big time.
Make sure you leave a like, you subscribe to the channel. We're going to try, I mean, again, we are not decision makers here. We can only react with you. We have voice for you a little bit. So I think, I can't tell if Chris is winding me up with this tweet, with this reply about a bid for Adama Traore. I don't think it is. I haven't seen anything like that. So Chris, I don't like you. You're not being a nice guy to me right now. I want to raise something else. Is the failures of the summer on FSG or on Michael Edwards? Because he gets a lot of love, very justified. But should the failure to move on Origi, the failure to sign a replacement for Wijnaldum, for Shaqiri, is that based on finances, or is that recruitment issues? Anthony, I'll go to you first on that one. Who you? I mean, I know we don't know much, but should some blame be assigned to Michael Edwards?
I don't think so, but yeah, like it's a tough question to answer, isn't it? Because we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. But another thing that I want to say is we were promised big summer next summer, blah blah blah. But I don't think anyone's actually after like a massive summer. We're not after like 100 million signings anyway. We're after like, I personally want Ruben Neves for like 30 million. Wolves listed him for. Well, they didn't list him for, but that's his price tag. Richie said Adama for 50 million. But one of the things about you said, is Adama worth more than Jota? I think Adama's done more for Wolves than Jota did for Wolves at the time. Looking back now, obviously Jota's a much better player, but he gives us like a different sort of dynamic for a winger, because obviously Salah likes cutting in. Adama, he'll just take defenders out of the game. So he changes our like attacking play much more than all the other players that we've been linked with, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that Chedu, we have to be, share all perspectives here. We have to share all perspectives. We can't just bring up one side.
Chris is biased. It doesn't count.
Yeah. See, okay, this is actually a good point right here. If is the most important word here. Can Mane and Firmino roll back the years? I'm not sure. I'm not optimistic that they are going to be able to be at that level. And you know what? You answered the question yourself. They are not ready to do that. They're not able to do that. So I think that it's so tough. It's not a good. Chad, you need to stop with this prop for yourself. You need to just stop.
I get slandered every time I'm on stream. Let me have this.
And that's what I'm doing it. I'm allowed to do it. Okay. Yeah, I think it's not an easy spot to be in. I saw a comment earlier. Thank you everyone on YouTube for showing the love. I think it's actually a record number of viewers concurrently, like 40 plus. So thank you everyone for tuning in. The fame getting into my head. I've completely forgotten what I wanted to say. That's a painful. Oh, Mane. So yeah, Alex still a world class winger, but earlier someone mentioned maybe we should have looked at maybe moving him on. Should Mane? Or should we have, again, where we're out of time this window, I'm so used to saying should we have considered not just pushing Mane, but completely replacing him?
No.
Why not? Why not?
No, I don't think so.
Because I still think he's like top 3 left wingers in the world. There's not many that can replace him. So yeah, it'd be anyone we buy would be a downgrade on it.
People are saying someone to challenge.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with.
yes.
But is Takumi Minamino and Divock Origi not enough?
No,
to challenge?
no.
See,
Listen.
it's ceasing to be funny, and in about an hour 9 minutes, it's gonna be just reality, you know. Or
Exactly.
Is it 11 o'clock UK or is it at 10 p.m.?
11 UK.
11 UK, because
So
that
a
would be
bit
12
more time.
everywhere else.
Bit more time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to replace Mane, as we've said, like people are saying in the comments, I'm going to bring up a few here. You know, you're still talking about a class operator. I thought he started the season well. He had his boots on the wrong feet, I think, against Chelsea because he was all over the shop. But there's obviously still someone in there, and you know, you don't just discard Sadio Mane. Yes, he didn't have the greatest season last season, but he still scored quite a lot of goals for someone who's not had the best season. So we're talking about, you know, at least 70 million plus. I mean, we all thought that Sancho would perhaps be the one to come in to replace Mane, and obviously he's gone to Manchester United for a ridiculous fee. But again, it might prove worth. But we know that we don't spend that sort of money, you know, unless we are going to sell Mane. So to replace Mane, it would take 70 million. I completely agree with that. And you know, I would like a list of players better than Sadio Mane, because I would still say it's perhaps in the top 5.
Yeah, I agree with Matty. Matty and I had a great stream a couple days back. Maybe it was a week ago where we.
Oh my god! Okay. Oh my god. I've been baited so badly.
Was it Priya's tweet?
Yep, it was Priya's tweet. I just because it pulled up the Divock Origi long-term contract from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But I just see that in my feed and I instantly ate. Nah, Priya, that was not nice.
Hey, Kelvin, we have 2 things in common. We don't like each other's. I don't like my views, and we're both Liverpool fans. I'm glad we can get along so soon. Now that if they announced Origi today, I'd almost actually kind of respect how much.
No, at that point, they're just making fun of us. Like at that point, they're just making fun of us.
That was funny. Yeah. Look again. I think. Yeah, like Adam makes a great point here. I mean, these are all good. They fit every metric around.
Yeah, I mean, the only issue is like with Ismail Assar is that Watford wanted 50 to 60 million pounds for him.
Yeah.
You know, because Assar was not pushing for a move, so they could basically put him at a premium rate. So there's. I mean, people are saying it in the comments. It's not Football Manager. It's not FIFA. We completely understand that. You know, so thank you though for your insight, but. You know, we can't just go out and spend X amount on players if they don't want to leave. Same reason why Rafinha never happened. You know, he doesn't want to leave Leeds, and Leeds are going to ask for 70, perhaps million for him. And why wouldn't they? Because he doesn't want to leave. So Liverpool are in a position where players like Sarr and Rafinha are going to get first team football. They're still learning their trade. Sarr's only 19, 20 years old. You know, Rafinha is in there as well. He quite openly said that he wants to stay, you know, with Bielsa. So it's one of those that these players don't have release clauses, so you are going to pay a premium for players in the Premier League.
So I think I want to.
Rafinha would have been so good.
I know, it's a shame. I love him, yeah. Especially since he started the season so well as well. He's been on fire.
Yeah. You know, again, we always say there's a good point here made about Sabitzer for 15 million. Tremendous deal for Bayern Munich.
Such a bargain.
Yeah, I forget if it was a release clause or something there that made him that cheap. But again, you mentioned a bit earlier in the stream. I want to bring it back again. Liverpool only look at bargains. This is the prime example of there is not a lot of demand, but there is the same amount of supply as there is in every window. Every window, a certain amount of players are up to be sold. This window, there was less demand, less capital to be spent on players to bring in. So I don't know. I think that this summer would have made sense. Just FSG, 50, 100 million pounds, and you can sign a player for half the price you would have gotten him for in a normal window. So I don't. In my head, this has not been a financially chosen window. This has been a player chosen window. Because I don't understand how you can look at the options available in the market and say that we did not make these financial choices. It has to be because we just didn't like what was available to us. And that, in my opinion, is a mistake. Hudson-Odoi, I would love.
even then, like I generally don't see, I generally can like physically, mentally, in any way, like see how looking at all the players that were available and the prices they were available for, that Liverpool just said, nah, we don't need any of them.
I also want to bring up another point. This is a much more overarching issue besides just FSG and Liverpool. Should transfer windows in football clubs be run like Liverpool or like PSG, where there are bottomless pits of cash? Because I think that we are trying to run a club like a business when our competitors are running it for a hobby, for fun, and that's what I think. That's the fundamental disagreement in the window. You have FIFA-like windows signing Messi, Mendes, Donnarumma, Ramos, Wijnaldum. Who am I forgetting? Hakimi. That's a stupidly good window for PSG.
It is, but I think there's only a certain amount of oligarchs in the world who are interested in football. So with that, it's the way that football's moving on. I think PSG flexed their muscles hugely today, and they really showed their ultimate power by rejecting a €200 million bid from Real Madrid to keep Kylian Mbappe, because we know that he's going to leave on a free in 4 months, and he's going to sign for Madrid anyway. But for PSG, they quite clearly have shown that for them, it's not about money. It's not about making money. They'd rather keep Mbappe and have success this year, and then let him go for free. Because what's €200 million to PSG? So there's huge power plays being moved in football, and we can't just blame PSG and Manchester City, who are owned by oligarchs, because Roman Abramovich came in and Madrid have been funded by the king, and it's happened. That's exactly what it is. And if I had £1 billion, £2 billion, £3 billion, you can bet your bottom dollar that I'd be investing into Liverpool Football Club as a hobby, because I love them that much, and I'm sure we all would. But that's not the way the world works. And FSG, rightly or wrongly, run a very, very tight ship. They're not going to lose money on any of their assets, and whether we like that or not, really don't. I personally don't, but as Kelvin have just said here, PSG owner and the FSG owners have two different objectives in football. So does Roman Abramovich, so does the City Group. FSG are in there to make money. PSG, Manchester City and Chelsea are in there to win things and be successful. And people can moan about the Glazers all they want, but fair enough, for fair play to the Glazers, because they have obviously put money in. But look on that at the other side. FSG never take money out, whereas the Glazers do take money out. So there's always going to be these flip sides in football, and that's what makes it so interesting. And the politics and the finances and the business side of football is always going to be interesting, because there's so many mini debates that you can have. So to answer your question, Jack, no, absolutely not. I think that I'm more proud of Liverpool winning the league the way that they won it in 2020 than I would rather win that one league, I think, than just be owned by an oligarch and play FIFA and Football Manager and say, actually, you know what? You were nothing before these new owners came in, like I do to every single Man City fan on Twitter, lying in the doldrums of the Championship. I would rather do it the way that we've done it. And that was so special in 2020 and 2019, where we conquered the world. And I would not change that for anything.
If FSG were to leave the club, in my opinion, the legacy would be incredibly positive, because the club is operating within its own means as one of the top 5 financial beasts in the world. When they joined, we were a financial wreck. So for them to be able to do that, I have 100% trust in their ability to do things financially. Hey, Richie, I mean,
that wasn't me.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know who's pulling these up then. I don't want to blame you for things you weren't actually doing. Maybe.
My hands are here.
Okay, you know what? I'm confused. Yeah, it's not me. Chedu, are you doing this?
No, listen, man.
Okay. Because I was blaming Chedu for hyping himself up with the comment. I was like, hey, Rick, you have to show similar. I apologize for that. That was harsh on my end. I think, I forget who said it. I think it might have been Chris. He mentioned it in someone else's tweet. Like, I'm really butchering the source of this, but it was, Liverpool are overly cautious in a just not in the slightest cautious market. It's a horrible way to put it. But our competitors are willing to throw huge sums to go for these trophies, and we're only willing to do what's financially responsible while trying to put out a good team. This team's good enough for top 4, and at the end of the day, I think that FSG know that they can put a team with top 4 as the talent, and Klopp can push them to title contenders, because Klopp is the best manager in the world.
Yeah.
I think one of the last things we'll hit on is it fair of FSG to rely so heavily on Klopp's miracles to succeed? Or is it kind of just intelligent on their part to save the money now and and use Klopp's genius.
Can I just flip your question as well? Like, because I would find it really interesting if you could go to the inner mind and the depths of Jurgen Klopp's brain, and let's think about, did Klopp actually want to spend money this window? Do you think that he did? Or do you think he was banging down FSG, John Henry's door and saying, listen, I need transfers to compete? I mean, I suppose we won't know about that, but there certainly didn't seem...
I don't remember who said it, but I'm pretty sure it was either yesterday or 2 days ago where I saw a tweet saying that the club had told FSG that he wanted to bring a big signing in this summer, and it's just to respond Jack's question. No, it definitely isn't, and I think last season is the perfect example of that. It genuinely showed that even though we have a good team, even though we have a good manager, miracles don't always happen, and we need that financial backing to make sure that that doesn't happen again. With the financial backing we needed last season, whether it was in summer or whether it was in January, had we had it, we would have won the league, because we were topped by New Year's. How we had that backing in the January market, we would have 100% won the league. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point from DJ. I don't think Klopp can say he's happy with his options when he just doesn't use them. Either doesn't pick them in the squad or picks the left back to come on over them. That's about my I don't know. It's tough because Klopp can't walk out there and say he wants a new signing. But he I don't know. It's a tough one. So we're about 2 hours away from the end of the deadline. Let's get our ratings of this transfer window out of 10. Chedu, do you want to be the first one to give your rating out of 10 for this window? I don't think you want to, but I'm making you go first.
I'm fine doing it. A 2 out of 10 in my eyes.
2 out of 10?
Yeah. And I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, but all the new contracts we've given, it doesn't matter. Contracts can be given around the year. It doesn't matter. It's a 2 out of 10 because at least we got Konate in. That's literally it."
Over under 2 out of 10, Richie.
Do you know what? I'm seeing the comments of 1s, 2s, and 3s, and I am going to frustrate people. So I'm so sorry about it. But I mean, I said right at the start that Konate was the person who we needed going into the window, and we got him, and we got him tied down. And so for me, it's got to be a 5 out of 10. And the reason for that is because we needed a centre back, and we have got one. Yes, we need an attacker, and if we did sign an attacker, that would almost project us up to what? Let's say a 9 out of 10, because I can't see many other positions that we need. I think a midfielder would be luxurious. So I'm glad that we didn't buy for the sake of buying, and it's a case perhaps now of Emperor's new clothes. But I suppose you can only judge this window at the end of the season. And if we win the league, then this season we've made money and still won the league. And that is possible. I do think that we can win the league with this current squad of players. We are not going to have to play, hopefully. I mean, there's no wood around me, but I touch wood that Fabinho and Henderson doesn't ever have to play at centre-back ever again and disrupt everything else, because we have got Konate and we've got now Nat Phillips, who's set to stay unless something drastic happens in the next 2 hours. So, for me, I think, we got the position that we really needed. Yes, I believe we need an attacker, unless we're going to see a Salzburg Taki Minamino, because he looked like £8 million, to not January just gone, the January before, 18 months ago, like an absolute snip at £8 million. And if we start seeing that player, then perhaps, okay, we'll say, actually, yes, maybe we didn't need a striker after all. But for me, we got the position that we needed. We've shift some deadwood. It still boggles me that Liverpool are not that ruthless at selling players. We've still got Karius, we've still got Origi on our books, who are clearly wanting to leave, and they're not going to really make minutes for Liverpool this season. So I would have liked to have seen perhaps more outgoings, but I think it's a 5 out of 10 for me, purely based on the fact that we needed a centre-back. We've got one of the best centre-backs, young centre-backs in world football, in Ibrahima Konate, who's going to learn from Van Dijk and Matip, who are two of the most elite in the Premier League, again, if not the world.
Make sure to drop a subscribe to the channel, as I mentioned in the comments. We're really close to 1,400. Join us for this season. It's going to be good content regardless of how many new players we sign. Anthony, we've had a 2 out of 10, we've had a 5 out of 10 this window.
I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as anyone's making out, but I'll say 4 out of 10 because, like Richard just said, we didn't really get rid of our deadwood like Origi and Karius. But another thing, everyone keeps pointing out, oh, what if this player gets injured, same as last season? But we're never gonna. That season is never gonna happen again. Where Van Dijk tears his ACL, Gomez injured for the rest of the season, Matty injured for the rest. Never gonna happen again. Yeah, I'll touch wood. But
I mean, I 100% agree with you there, but
yeah,
it doesn't.
so
Really have
like
to be
like Chedu said, we were top of the league by December when even just with one fit centre back with Matty. So as long as we've got a good starting 11 and a couple of good squad players, then it's fine. But yeah, 4 out of 10 just because we didn't get that extra attacker.
Honestly, I don't see an injury crisis as big as that happening for a long time because that was just stupid crazy. But I'll go back to what I said before. One bad injury to Salah. Who's gonna step up to bring the goals and assists that Salah brings? No one is able to do that because we don't have that cover, and that's my major worry because in center backs we have our cover in Konate and Phillips, who just signed a new contract. Midfield, as Richie said, it's more a luxury than anything else. Really, it's that attacking position that really scares me because if Salah goes out and we're screwed, no one is able to step up. And I see Kate Gordon in the chat. Honestly, I'd rather play Kate Gordon than Origi. The problem is the kid's 16. We don't want to kill the poor kid. And that's where the problem comes in. And honestly, it's just disappointing. And part of me is holding on to hope that something is going to happen, that they have something prepared that no one knows about. But at the same time, I just can't see it.
So my rating of the window, I think I'm going to give a 3.5 out of 10 because I think that while I agree that if we have the capability of succeeding this season, I think more resources, more cover would have been beneficial because I think the drop off is a bit too far. And I think that while you can't look at what if injuries, you also have to recognize that you can protect your current assets by making them not as burnt out. Because I think Mane and Firmino and even Salah could all have benefited from 5-10 less league games in the last 2 years. Just it'll have ever so slightly increased lengths of their prime because they're not as burnt out towards the end of it. But I'm seeing this tweet from Fabrizio Romano. Antoine Griezmann is almost confirmed back to Atletico on a loan option to buy. So the way we'll end today's transfer deadline stream, we've seen some players return to their former clubs. Luis Suarez.
Yes, I would take him without
bringing him back. Bringing him back.
Yes, 100%. And you know what? I think I would have actually pushed the propaganda of it happening if Griezmann would have gone back to Atletico earlier, since a few days ago or even earlier today. But just with the short amount of time that's left, it's not going to happen. But maybe if it had gone before, I could have seen it. But yeah.
And I don't like this argument either because why is football such an increased level now? Because they realize maybe this isn't a good idea to just ignore the fitness aspect of the game. Just because it happened in the past doesn't mean you should do it in the future. Suarez, we taking him, Richie, Anthony?
If a deal went through right now, then yes. I think it's one of those that if you looked at the start of the window, you would think, but yeah, you would take him now because he is a player that you wouldn't have to heavily rely on. I know you would want to play 90, 95 minutes every single week, every single game, but he wouldn't have to, and he would be a high quality option for Firmino. So yes, I would absolutely take him back. I see some shouts for Coutinho. I'm still not on that train just yet. I don't think we need him. I think we've got options in midfield. I think it's still attack that we need. So for me, yes, I would take Suarez back. If in the next hour and 20 minutes he would like to come back to Liverpool, just give John a ring and let him know.
Anthony, Suarez?
Yeah, obviously, I think he's my childhood hero, man, Suarez. I think only him and Gerrard, I really wanted to lift the Premier League, but you never know, it could happen for Luis Suarez.
I think if we were to end the stream with the extra time left in the window, something's guaranteed to happen. So for everyone's sake, we will end the stream and hopefully we will jinx something into happening in the last bit of the window. But regardless, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. You follow us on all the socials. You can follow us with our tags here on the screen. But Chedu, Anthony, Richie, I know it's not a fun way to end the transfer window, but I really appreciate your time. And for everyone who engaged with us, a tremendous, tremendous stream. We'll see you in the next one on LFC Transfer.